When I was about 8 years old, I had first learned about something called global warming or climate change. Apparently, this was something that we humans had created in order to sustain our way of living. I was told to recycle paper to save resources and to turn off lights to save energy. I remember thinking it was very strange that humans, who are an animal species among others, could be capable of changing the Earth's climate. Because if we were, and it were actually happening, we wouldn't be talking about anything else. As soon as you turn on the TV, everything would be about that. Headlines, newspapers, radio shows. You wouldn't hear or read about anything else, as if a world war were going on. But no one ever talked about it. If burning fossil fuels was so bad that it threatened our very existence, how could we just continue on like before? Why were there no restrictions? Why wasn't it made illegal? To me, that did not add up. It was too unreal. This TED Talk, School Strike for Climate, Save the World by Changing the Rules, was written and presented by Greta Thunberg in Stockholm, Sweden. Greta is a 16-year-old climate activist fighting for climate justice. She has met with world leaders, held strikes, and sailed to New York to meet with fellow students on strike. Currently, Greta is one of the many powerful youths who disagree with the logic being used to disprove climate change, one of the biggest issues our world is currently facing. So when I was 11, I became ill. I fell into depression. I stopped talking and I stopped eating. In 2 months, I lost about 10 kilos of weight, and later on, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism. This basically means I only speak when I feel it is necessary, and now is one of those moments. For those of us who are on this spectrum, almost everything is black or white. We aren't very good at lying, and we usually don't enjoy participating in the social game that many of you seem so fond of. I think in many ways that we autistic are the normal ones, and that you regular people are the strange ones. Especially when it comes to the climate crisis, where everyone keeps saying that global warming is an existential threat and one of the most important issues of all, yet they just carry on like before. I don't understand that, because if the emissions have to stop, then we have to stop the emissions. To me, that is black or white. There are no gray areas when it comes to our survival. Either we continue on as a civilization or we don't. We have to change. Rich countries like Sweden need to start reducing emissions by at least 15% every year. And that is so we can stay below a 2-degree warming target. Yet, as the IPCC has recently demonstrated, aiming instead for 1.5 degrees Celsius would significantly reduce the climate impacts. We can only imagine that this would reduce emissions. You would think that the media and every one of our world leaders would be talking about nothing else, yet they never even mention it. Nor does anyone ever mention the greenhouse gases already locked in the system, nor that air pollution is hiding a warming, so that when we do stop burning fossil fuels, we will already have an extra level of warmth, perhaps as high as 0.5 to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, does hardly anyone ever speak about the fact that we are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction, with up to 2,000 species going extinct every single month, that the extinction rate is between 1,000 and 10,000 times higher than what is seen as normal. Nor does hardly anyone ever speak about the aspect of equity or climate justice, clearly stated everywhere in the Paris Agreement, which is absolutely necessary to make this work on a global scale. That means rich countries need to get down to zero emissions within 6 to 12 years with today's emission speed. And that is so people in poorer countries can have a chance at heightening their standard of living by building some of the infrastructure that we have already built, such as roads, schools, hospitals, clean drinking water, electricity, and so on. Because how can we expect countries like India or Nigeria to care about the climate crisis when we, who already have everything, don't even care for a second, or our actual commitment to the Paris Agreement? So why are we not reducing our emissions? Why are they in fact increasing? Are we knowingly causing a mass extinction? Are we evil? No, of course not. People keep doing what they do because the vast majority doesn't have a clue about the actual consequences of our everyday life. We all think we know. We all think everybody knows, but we don't, because how could we? If there really was a crisis, and this crisis was caused by our emissions, you would at least see some signs. Not just flooded cities, tens of thousands of dead people, and entire nations leveled to piles of torn down buildings. You would see some restrictions, but no, and no one talks about it. There are no emergency meetings, no breaking news. Even most climate scientists continue flying around the world consuming meat and dairy. If I live to be 100, I will be alive in the year 2103. When you think about the future today, we typically don't think beyond the year 2050. By then, I will only have lived half my life. What happens next? In the year 2078, I will celebrate my 75th birthday. If I have children or grandchildren, maybe they'll spend that day with me. Maybe they'll ask me about you, the people who were around in 2020. Maybe they will ask me why you didn't do anything while there was still time to act. What we do or don't do right now will affect my entire life, the lives of my children, and the lives of my grandchildren. What we do or don't do right now, me and my generation can't undo in the future. So when school started in August of this year, I decided that this was enough. I sat down on the ground in front of the Swedish Parliament and I school striked for the climate. Some people say that I should still be in school. Others say that I should be studying to become a climate scientist so that I can solve the climate crisis. But the truth is, the climate crisis has already been solved. We already have all of the facts and solutions. All we need to do is wake up and change. Some people say that Sweden is just a small country and it doesn't matter what we do. But I think that if a few children can get headlines all over the world by not coming to school for a couple of weeks, imagine what we could all do together if you wanted to. Now, we're almost at the end of my talk, and this is usually where people start talking about hope. Solar panels, wind power, circular economy, and so on, but I'm not going to do that. We've had 30 years of pep talking and selling positive ideas, and I'm sorry, but it doesn't work. Because if it would have, emissions would have gone down by now. They haven't. And yes, we need hope. Of course we do. But the one thing that we need more than hope is action. When we start to act, hope is everywhere. So instead of looking for hope, look for action. Then and only then hope will come. Today, we use 100 million barrels of oil every single day. There are no politics to change that, and there are no policies to keep that oil in the ground. So we can't save the world by playing by the rules, because the rules have to be changed. Everything needs to change, and it has to start today. Thank you.